Hi, all. Glenn here with another Who Cares News broadcast of stuff you don't want to even know or don't even care about. Well, at least that's what it seems like. Today's discussion is going to be on this bill that they're trying to push through Congress on HR-1. Uh, I have a big question about whether it is even constitutional. I've been going through the Constitution a little bit, discussed it with a few people. And I've come to the conclusion that it isn't. My blog post uh, on ourmusic1.com or wcn.ourmusic1.com goes like this. We're all hearing how Congress is attempting to make major changes to the form of our elections and take over the election. This may be unconstitutional as so far as the vote for president goes and or your state elections. Uh, Constitution goes Article 1, Section 4. The times, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives. That's a key point right there. It points out only senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof, but the Congress may at any time by law make or alter such regulations as to except as to the place of choosing senators. Now this is specifying that yes, Congress can make changes to electoral law as far as Congress, but nothing else. It's kind of a exclusionary inclusion. You'll see that right over here. See, that's that's the key phrase right there. Uh, it directly specifies that, and by law, by directly specifying, you're excluding. It does not include states or presidential. So if they're going to change law, they can only change it on Congress. Uh, Next, we'll go over to Article 2, Section 1. Basically says that it's up to the state who the state legislatures and the state legislatures to choose who gets to be president. By choosing who gets the electors and how they get the electors, the states choose the electors for the president. So that excludes anything Congress can do because it's saying, okay, the state legislatures are going to pick the electors for president, and that means that the legislation choosing the state's legislation has to make the rules for the choosing of the president. Uh, so, according to Marbury, anything that is in direct violation of the Constitution is unconstitutional and therefore null and void. Yes, we go back to some of that. We'll get in. Uh, I found some stuff in HR-1 as I was quickly going through it. I didn't spend an inordinate amount of time, only a couple hours. That is kind of concerning. And you all might want to think about it. Again, this is all available on uh, oh don't mind me. I'm trying to make up a new banner here for you that shows where everything is available. Uh, Slash question mark P equals right there. This is where this document is found. Sorry, I wasn't prepped for that. I wasn't prepped. I'll get better at this. This is only like my first one or two. Um, in here, it goes internet voter registration. In other words, they'll take registration over the internet without proof of who you are or what you are or anything like that. And we'll take your signature from any place that it can get it. It allows, believe it or not, if you're severely disabled and unable to use the internet, for you to do voter registration via phone. Yeah, call it in, folks. They can also uh, do same day registration on mail in ballots by taking uh, your signature from the ballot to verify your signature on the ballot. Okay. Uh, it says that you can't demand proof of citizenship when filing out a voter registration form. So theoretically, a non-citizen could come up and say, "Okay, I'm going to register to vote," and say I'm a citizen even if I'm not. It allows ballot harvesting. How it does this? It allows someone to steal your ballot by changing your voter record online. Say they go in, change the address to 123 Main Street from 57 Broad Street. All of a sudden, your mail-in ballot now goes to the new address, and they can fill out the ballot as they wish and send and mail it in, and that's perfectly legal. It allows motor voter registration, and worse. Um, it says that any state or federal agency, when filling out a form, has to now give you the option to register to vote. And even worse, it goes and says colleges now have to do the same thing. And it sets up registration in high schools to people as young as 16. If you're a senior in high school, you get to register to vote. Um, and it requires grade schools to educate on voter registration. Now, mind you, they're going to send money over for, uh, they're allocating money for all this stuff too, believe it or not. Uh, let's see. Same day registration, same day registration to change your voter registration at the polls. In other words, I can come up and say I'm you and just change my registration information and it's valid. No protection at all. Uh, allows political campaigns access to voter rolls. It pays the states for all the voting activity. Yes, it's allocated like $500 million. That's five with a bunch of zeros behind it for this kind of activity. Uh, it allows, in a strange way, third party collection of registration data for the state. It's strange, but it says that company X, uh, that New Jersey can ask company X to grab all the voter registration for it, taking out the state and sending it back to the state. Uh, it takes away the state's ability to purge its rolls of voters that no longer live there based on postal change of address cards. It says you can only do it through this one database, the Eric database. It gives money to states to get minors to register to vote. It takes away, now this is a weird one how it does this, but it encroaches on Article 3 judicial powers by saying that felons can now vote, taking away the judicial assessment that a felon cannot vote. That is done by the judge. Let's see. What else we got here? It says what each ballot should look like. Never mind any state's different, wanting to do something different. In other words, a universal ballot. I guess that's good for computers that are used across several states, but if my state doesn't want to do this, it has to do that. Vote by mail. It says that if you vote absentee once, say you go on vacation, you're not going to be in state for the ballot, for the vote. You request an absentee ballot. Okay, I'm out of state. I get an absentee ballot. Well, now, next year, you're going to get another absentee ballot because you voted absentee once. Doesn't say how to work with going to the polls and voting there, but it says if you've got an absentee ballot once, you're going to get them all the time. Changes laws for Native American voters. I'm not sure. I didn't get that far. It installs voter drop boxes like we had this last time, where anybody can just come up and stuff the ballots into the voter box and they'll all be good. It says in a national emergency, all bets are off on any election laws. It changes how it mandates a change to how the states redistrict. In other words, the states are no longer in charge of how they redistrict after the decennial election, or decennial census, rather. After the decennial census, it says, hey, you got to do your redistricting this way and no other. It deletes redistricting after the halfway mark in the decennial. In other words, after 2025, they can't redistrict, no matter how badly the census has screwed up everything and hasn't even gotten the information to them. It says if you're in jail, you can vote. It changes all kinds of campaign finance rules and overrules Citizens United, I think. It tells political action committees that you've got changes going on there. It won't allow a political action committee to be told by the candidate what his policies are. It allows the political action committee to say, okay, we're supporting X because he believes in Y, but he actually believes in Z. It changes the code of conduct for federal judges, interfering with Article 3 again, where judges are a separate branch and have their own code of conduct. Was a weird one where, if I read it right, a political campaign manager cannot use campaign funds to travel by airplane, by private airplane. That's a weird one. It changes congressional conflict of interest rules. in so many ways. Like, uh, if you're a member of the House, you can't serve on boards of for profit companies. Okay, your job is the House, but you're making money by being on a board. So I guess you're not going to have that $5 million this year. Uh, and the worst part of this bill, the worst part is that it will force, no matter who brings up the suit against this bill, it will have to go through the DC court system, uh, which is against Article 3, but it forces anything to go through the corrupt DC court system and Court of Appeals before anything else. In other words, you can't go out and say, uh, go to the New Jersey federal court and file a complaint. You got to go all the way down to DC, file the complaint, spend hours and hours down in DC to fight this, and then eventually maybe you might get seen by SCOTUS, but that's not promised by this. Uh, it's not promised at all. So that was just a couple of things I saw on HR-1. Hope you all enjoyed and are as mad as I am. Start writing your Congress critters, your senators, and anyone else you can think of to try and get involved in getting HR-1 overthrown, just for the fact that it's unconstitutional. It simply cannot be. The House is trying to force through, Nancy and crew, all this stuff to take over the federal elections, and it's not legal. All right, have fun, y'all. I'm out. Enjoy.